Alrighty, folks. One of the things that I love to do is talk to real estate investors early in their journey. Love to hear about where they've been, where they are, and where they want to go. I often talk to the folks in my school community and say, "Hey, who's the next guinea pig that wants to share their story?" And next up, we have Craig. Craig, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. So, why don't you just start off, introduce yourself to the world? Who is Craig? What are you doing in this real estate world? And we'll just go from there.
Okay, I've got a long background in real estate. I got in, this has basically been my whole career, but it's been in real estate sales as a realtor. I started out in new construction. I was a job soup for a builder, would take the lot, blueprint and permit, and deliver the house to closing, and then got licensed in the process to go sell model homes, and then went from there and then started, then I got my own contractor's license and started building under my own. And then that was going into the housing boom, and then ended up in a partnership with a builder that kind of went bad. And then started doing development with multifamily. We were doing condo projects. So had three nice condo projects all lined up, about 150 units as a partner in. And then the bottom dropped out, and then went to zero again. And
Yeah.
so, started over a few times. And then finally I didn't file bankruptcy or anything. So paid off debt, started
Wow.
up again. And then I'm approaching 45 and don't have a retirement,
Hmm.
and kind of went into a little panic. So dove into rental properties. And I dove in. I'm running about 25 units right now, single
Wow.
family. And
Wow.
yeah, I spend a lot of time online watching your channel and other channels, just consuming as much information as I can get, and
Hmm.
join the school community to learn more and get into a good environment. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I love the school community. It's really, when you start something new, you just don't know how it's going to turn out. And a lot of the
mhm.
things that one rental at a time it is the community. I saw that for the first time in person at our event in Vegas last year. I'm now seeing in the school community. Um, I just love all the interactions, right? I may be the guy at the top, but daily communications and interactions with now 200 almost 50 people, it's pretty awesome. So thank you for being a part of it. Um,
Yeah, it's the enthusiasm that gets, if you look at the root word of enthusiasm, it's like inspired by God. It's a Greek word. So I don't know what Greek God they base that off of, but so it's bringing in those, like, someone wants to change their life. That's
yep.
enthusiasm coming in, and you got a group of people that are all trying to make changes in their life. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and they're all at different parts of the journey. Everybody's helping. Celebrate your wins, your losses, ask questions. Network. I fully believe this. We will be a top 100 school, and we'll be over 1,000 members, and
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty
could see
crazy
that.
for a real estate group. So, yeah, it's just I'm going to keep doing what we're doing and having fun and all of this. So let's talk about pre-bubble. Let's talk about the bubble. I know it's painful, but just for the people that don't realize, it
Kicking
was
the
a
PTSD.
wild time. It was wild, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So my journey started in '02, as you probably 2002 with Norris Drive, and I just watched housing because Fresno was going up at like 30% a year, some unhealthy amount. So we buy Norris Drive at 107. It gets to 300 by like 2006. And then all hell breaks loose and it falls all the way down to 75 grand. It's crazy.
2006 is when you felt it. That's when we felt the condo market and my market. And
Yeah. And
then
where
the
where are you?
bottom,
Sorry.
Minneapolis.
Oh, mini.
So the
Okay.
bottom really didn't drop out till about 2007 in the
Mm,
single family, but
yeah.
2006 you knew it was there.
Yeah. The writing was on the wall.
Yep.
Um, and again, it's so wild. It was all the debt. That's really what's different this time. It was the debt. And I share this story occasionally. The first loan we ever got was a full doc loan. Full doc. The last loan I got, I signed a blank loan application. That's how stupid it was. Oh, crazy,
Yeah,
crazy
we
times.
were seeing a lot of mortgage fraud in the end.
Oh,
Like they it came out of the woodwork when the writing was on the wall. Like people were
mhm.
getting cash back at closing. It was stated income. It was, I mean, you just sat there and you scratch your head and saying, I don't want to be a part of this.
No,
You knew
yeah.
something bad was going to happen, but you didn't know how.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And again, I've made a few very good calls in my life, but selling all my homes in '06 was a great idea.
What clued you in on that? I mean, what where you just made that decision? Because you had good cash flow at that point, right?
Oh yeah, we were cash flow. We were, 8 units. We were probably 2,500 bucks a month and growing.
Yeah.
So I went to a real estate meetup event with a guy named Bruce Norris, who's a California legend. And so this had to be '06. And his talk, California crash, got my attention, right? And again, you
Hmm.
got to remember, he gave this talk when the market is screaming higher. So Bruce Norris is a data geek. And I say that with the utmost respect and as a compliment. But he goes on this tirade for about 2.5 hours, probably 50, 70 charts, basically showing how California's real estate's about to explode. And again, I'm a California investor with all my eggs in one basket. And he basically talked about something called the Affordability Index, which I had never heard of. I have an
Yep.
accounting degree, MBA, involved in, never heard of the Affordability Index. So what do? I go, wow, that's an interesting talk. Let me go look at the Affordability Index for Fresno County. And very quickly, I realized that Fresno County has done something it's never done before. The Affordability Index, I think, might have got as low as 11, and it's a scale of 0 to 100. And anything below 50 is bad.
Okay, on that index, how do they rank 11? Because the index
Basic,
I'm used to is like 112, which means you have 112% of the median income will qualify for the median house in that market.
yeah. So our in California, it's calculated differently. Basically, it meant 11 out of the 100 people could afford the median home.
Okay.
That's what it meant. So the lower the number, the worse it was. And his
Same data,
store,
different scale.
same scale, yeah, same
Yep.
data, different scale. Uh, so again, once you see that, you can't unsee that. And then what I did is I took the scale and I brought it back. I went back like 20 years, and Fresno had always been around 50, and then it was 40, and then it was 30, and then it was 20. And that just told, and again, I'm buying homes in this environment, and I know that frankly, mortgage fraud is happening. And
Mhm.
I'm like, this is the only reason people are buying homes is they're lying. Because again, if you look at the activity, it was still screaming, but the numbers said only 1 in 10 could buy. So that just meant fraud. So I knew there was pain coming. I knew Fresno would be in trouble. I want to be really clear. I had no idea it would fall 75%. No idea.
You went 75% down. We did
Yeah.
40% down.
Yeah. 75 peak to trough.
That's brutal.
75%. It was awesome, dude. I was out.
You were
It
a
was
kid in a
great.
candy store. You had the cash and the prices were 75% off.
It was wild. But yeah, that was one of my very good calls. And even better, I moved into apartments. I 1031 all this fake equity into apartments which were distressed because dude, you want to know what the worst time to be a landlord was with multifamily? It was '06.
Yeah.
Everybody was lying to buy homes. I had to give like 1 month free, no deposit, 1.5 months free. It was crazy times. Um, man, that was wild. It's wild to go back and think about those. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Bad stuff
Memory lane.
happens. Yeah, memory lane.
Yeah.
It's just wild to go back there.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
ironic where I'm at now, who you just met. He was underwriting mortgages at the time,
mhm,
and he's got a book out. I'll send you a copy, but yeah, it
nice.
was about the fraud that went on and the stuff that we went through together on that. So
Yeah,
we got a long history. So I'll fill
there
you
you
in
go.
later on that one.
There you go. Well, let's talk about now. So you're 45, looking at the future. You don't got a retirement. You're in the real estate game for decades.
Yep.
Actually, you know what? Let me ask you this question. Why do you think it is most real estate agents never own rental properties? Why do you think that is?
A couple of reasons. One is the income is not steady. It's like an EKG reading, right?
Right.
So
Very, very lumpy.
yes, and banks hate that.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
yeah,
Okay.
so most of your career you're unbankable because your income is so erratic until
Mm,
you really get established. And then at that point, you look at these rentals and you look at a couple $100 a month cash flow for all that brain damage, and you don't
okay.
realize what the real return is, because that cash flow is not your real return.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
this it's very much like flippers then, right? Flippers, I talk to flippers all the time, especially when the market was hot, 2018, 19, 20, 21. It's like, why would I keep this and make 300 bucks a month when I could sell it and make 40 grand? I'm
yeah,
like, you're not
which
thinking
is
long
20
term.
after you pay the tax.
Exactly. You're not that. Yeah, that's active income, baby. Let me introduce you to the IRS. Um, I mean, like if you're in the game, and like I've told flippers this all the time, I'm like, get in the game and set up a process where you keep one. Like maybe you flip four, keep one.
Mhm.
Because even if you're an amazing flipper, it's not a game you could do forever. It's
No.
exhausting and stressful.
Yep. The other reason a lot of realtors don't do that housing is you have a list of clients that are looking for properties. So when you
Ah,
have a good deal, you're kind of obligated to say, you're looking at this going, oh, here you go.
yeah.
Here you go. And you're watching all these deals slip through your fingers. And at some point, you just got to say, okay, pay yourself
Yeah.
first. Yep.
There you go. There you go. All right, so let's talk about that epiphany, that journey of 45, that aha moment, the light bulb, whatever you want to call it, and you're like, hey, I got to step on the gas and do things a little bit different. Talk about that moment.
Okay, so I'm coming off of paying off all my debts after the housing crash, right? And I missed the great opportunity of like you're talking about 75 cents or 25 cents on the dollar.
Mm.
So that kind of had passed me back because I was paying off debts and
Yeah.
I was unbankable at the time. Banks weren't lending. And I'm like, okay, I still got to get in the game. And I was just coming and that I got divorced after I paid off all the debts. So perfect
Ah,
timing.
perfect timing.
And I did have rental properties at the time. So she kept the rentals. And
Oh.
then I kept the all the expensive stuff, right? I kept the cabin, I kept the house, and okay, so now I gotta crank up real estate again and start getting that
Hmm.
paid off, build up the down payment. And
Hmm.
my background being in construction, I was able to step in, fix something up, build that equity, roll it. I
Nice.
never did a burr strategy to perfection because I kept a lot of that sweat equity in the deal,
Mm.
but
Okay.
it didn't burn up all my cash. I could pull a little bit out and then roll it.
Okay.
And I found the opportunity because we were still coming up into townhomes. Um,
Mm.
they were underpriced for what you got for rents.
Ooh. Now, are townhomes in where you're at? Do they have HOAs or some kind of?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
So it's not the ideal situation, but the timing worked well for me because I could get into it and I could get into like the most desirable school district
Hmm.
and I could buy these things at the time. They're like 120, 130,000 and they
Nice.
would rent for 13, 1400 bucks a month. And the HOAs were pretty reasonable at the time. And it was a waiting list to get in these
Mm.
because, and that's what attracted me to this is 50% of the market, 50% of the married couples are going to get divorced.
Hmm.
They're gonna have to stay in the school district. They split that household. They're not going to be able to buy two houses in that same school district.
Right.
So I
Makes sense.
knew there was a huge demand for it. And plus, anyone else wanted to be in that area too. So it wasn't just the divorced couples that needed the housing. So they were very easy to rent, very easy to manage. And,
I
you
like
know,
it.
yeah.
Now, what were these like 3 bedroom, 1.5s, or what were they?
Uh, two ones,
Oh, two ones.
two,
Okay.
yep, two twos did better. More demand, just, with the kid, they wanted a second bath.
Hmm.
But they weren't always as readily available. So I did two ones and two twos.
What I'm curious. I'm always curious about this. What did that extra bath get you rent? Was it an extra $100, $50? What do you
Trying to
think?
think back, it was I had to pay, I think another 15, 20 grand for it. And I think yeah, it went up another like 150 bucks.
Yeah, one of the things people need to understand when they start building what Matt the lumberjack calls the rent boxes, you need to figure out what moves the needle. Extra bath, extra bedroom, covered parking, garage, street parking, right? There's always these things that move the needle. And to me, in my market, an extra, even a half bath gets me more rent sometimes than an extra bedroom.
Yep.
Like a 2 1.5 in much of my market will rent for more than a 3 1. All right, you gotta know your numbers, folks. You gotta know your
Yep.
numbers. All right, so you find this little value add, right? A little hole in the market, and
Yep.
it
And they
sounds
usually
like
just need some paint and yep,
yeah,
little flooring and that's it. Appliances
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. What are they like? 900 square feet, 850?
1100.
Oh, 11. Oh, damn, that's a big two.
1050 to about 1200. Yep.
That's a big. Have you ever looked at maybe again? I don't know what the floor plan looks like, but Sometimes I buy 11 and 1200 twos and I make them threes, right? A third bedroom. I don't know what the layout looks like.
Yeah, this layout wouldn't be conducive to
Okay.
that, but yeah, the square footage would certainly hold a three.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Um, so when did you step what year did you step on the gas and you started adding these to your portfolio?
This would have been, I think, 18, 17 or
Okay.
18. Yep.
Okay. All right.
And then just
So
started out slowly. And the downside to the townhomes is they don't appreciate as well as single family,
sure.
but they're easier to step into if you don't have a lot of experience managing, if you can get them to
Mhm.
cash flow. You have a little bit of brain damage with the association, but I've had more trouble with the cities than I have the
Oh,
associations.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, so what was the kind of cadence? Like, were you getting conventional loans, just going to a bank and getting a bank loan, or how did this work?
So I found a small community bank, and
Oh,
this
nice.
because being we talk about the EKG reading of commission sales, 1099 income. Banks don't like that. They want W-2 income. They're the golden child is a W-2
Mhm.
income. Bankers don't have much imagination. But I but I found a community bank that looked at, my background and experience as like, okay, this is a pretty safe bet, right?
Yeah.
It's in your backyard, you know it. And then lent me on the first deal. Okay, I just need 20% down. We'll do a commercial loan, 20-year AM and
Okay.
5-year balloons kind of deal,
Hmm.
refinance every 5 years.
Hmm.
So I started out with that, and then he got comfortable after I had a few, and then he would work a deal where, okay, I can give you money for the fix up too. As long
Oh,
as you keep
nice.
10% of your own cash in the deal, then we'll just credit you back what you put into it.
Okay.
So I had enough. And then it was just, I call him up, boom, loan's done. He is the underwriting, and it
Yeah.
just worked very slick.
This is very much a Henry Washington play, right? Henry Washington again
Not familiar.
talks about community banks all the time. Um, so help. I think more investors should go to community banks. So talk about building that relationship, those first conversations, because again, it is community banks are relationship based. So talk
Absolutely.
about that.
So I asked around, and I knew someone that had talked to this local community bank and said, you know what, this guy's a really good guy. Why don't you call him and see what he's got available? So I called him up. He drove an hour north up to meet me. 'Cause he's in a
Oh
small
wow.
town in southern Minnesota. Took his whole day, drove up, took me out to lunch. We started talking, got to know each other, did the first deal.
Hmm.
And then it was so easy to work with and just bang, bang, bang. Built it up quickly. And then I was able
Nice.
to, DSCR wasn't popular at the time. It came in later. So then I was able to pull some equity out with some DSCRs on some of them and then
Nice.
grow into multifamily or not multifamily into single family.
I'm curious. I don't know if you tried this. Have you ever like maybe it probably doesn't work today, but do you ever try to get into 30-year residential, fixed rate residential on a rate and term, or just never worked?
With him, I can't with that bank. He'll
No,
go to
but
20
but have you
with the
ever
DSCR. Yes.
okay.
So
Yeah.
some of those loans, the older ones, I've
Mhm.
turned into 30-year DSCR loans,
Oh,
fixed rate.
there you go. Yeah.
Yep. And then
I
pull some
think
cash out.
yeah, I think that's one of the things looking at your portfolio. I'm just trying to play with it in my head. It's like, ooh, you got a
Yep.
lot of term risk.
Yeah, half of that is on 30-year fix now.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, that's
Yep.
better than I expected. Okay. That's much better than I expected. Okay. Less than I thought. So talk about the move from condos or townhomes to singles.
I had enough little portfolio there where I was comfortable with the residual income. I was confident in what I was doing there. And then I saw a fixer upper, so I had a little bit of extra cash to play with. I paid cash for the whole deal, ran through it, and turned it. I think I talked to this about on one of your comments on one of your deals. I didn't make any money on it. I paid too much for it. It
Mm,
was I think it was we're going into 2019. The market was getting a little soft, or it was the winter
yep.
of 2018. Everyone
Okay.
said we had hit the peak
Mm,
values and we were going to crash. The doomers were starting to say that. And the market did soften because rates were going
yeah.
up.
I remember
And
that
then,
time. Yeah.
yep. So I sat right in, I just finished right at that winter and I'm like, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't want this as a rental. It's not in my area. And I'm just like, okay, it's a good house. I did it right. Just let someone enjoy the house, let it go.
Mm,
I didn't lose money on the deal, but I didn't make money.
okay.
So So I let that go, and I ended up with two more right after that, and then COVID hit, and then I put the pedal to the metal because I knew
Yeah. They were
everyone was
printing money.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, they hadn't even started printing money, but
Mm.
people got scared and prices came down. So then I
Yeah.
jumped. Yep.
I love so let's talk about that because that's one thing that is very important. I'm watching consumers and when they pull back, like I think they're going to do this next 5 to 6 months, that's
Hmm.
when I go in,
Yeah.
right? It's like kid in a candy store stuff, right? When demand pulls back, Zuber runs in because you just never know what's going to go on sale.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we're going to see some deals this winter. So I'm trying to wrap up a couple projects so I have some capital to play with.
Dry powder.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's help the audience kind of understand what are the keys to growing a portfolio of townhomes and singles to over 20? What are some of the keys you think?
I'm very cheap and frugal. I do a lot of the work myself. I self-manage.
Okay.
I find hiring people to do work is not very successful for me. I had
Mm,
trained a guy in at 25 bucks an hour, and he's not very skilled. And
mm.
then suddenly he found he could jump online and charge 65 bucks an hour to go assemble IKEA furniture. So
Wow.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, I can't compete with that, you
Right.
know, and I can just build this sweat equity and I'm going to build up this war chest that I wish I had taken advantage of the lower rates and done more of the 30-year fixed at the time, but I wanted to keep just because of my past experience, not
Hmm.
leverage up. I didn't want to be
Right.
leveraged up.
Yeah. I
So,
get it.
yep. So I got a lot of debt equity in there, which, people will scratch their head and say, why are you sitting on that, all that debt equity? Well, I had a bad experience.
When you touch a hot stove, you generally don't touch it again.
Yes, you got to be super cautious.
Yeah. I am curious, kind of looking at that debt equity. One of the things that our story, Olivia and I's story is we did do some 1031 exchanges.
Hmm.
Have you ever thought about repositioning some of that debt equity into a slightly bigger asset, or are you comfortable just banging out single family homes?
No, so I've done single family construction and then I also did multifamily development. So we were
Right.
doing 50 unit condo buildings.
Ooh.
So yeah, so if those opportunities appear, which I think you're right, when those commercial loans start resetting, I think there's going to be opportunities there. And absolutely, I am totally looking at the 1031 exchange as a way to leverage up. So
Yeah, that again was back to our good call was we took all that equity and we moved it into apartments that were, yeah, it was just spectacular timing. Um, so where do you go from here? What's next for Craig?
like we talked about is I need to finish up these projects because I'm doing the work myself.
Yeah.
I'm running into situations where I'll hire a contractor to come in to go set 6 doors. And I'll come
Yeah.
in and there and all 6 doors are set up wrong. So then I go hire another crew to come in and they screw them up even more.
Oh
So then
man.
I'm finally, okay, I'm going to do it this weekend and I'll go do it myself.
Right.
That's what I'm fighting in my marketplace. And I think that's true across the country right now. And it's
Yeah, I think so.
expensive to hire these people too.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of inflation. I mean, yeah, I see it. I see it in my monthly reports. Everything's ACs are more expensive, repairs are more expensive. It's just a lot more expensive. Even than
Yeah.
2 years ago, it's more expensive.
Yeah, and I don't think that's coming down.
No, no, no. One thing I've learned about prices is once they're up, they're not going down. They may be flat for a while, but they're not going down.
Yeah.
That's definitely something I've learned. Um,
Yeah. So now I've got that debt equity. So I'm exactly what you're talking about. I'm either going to refi on DSCRs and pull that capital out to get in, or I'm going to try to 1031 the whole portfolio, or do a portfolio loan. I'm going to look at those different options. But right now, I'm not seeing anything to move into.
no,
Are
yeah,
you
it's
seeing
it's
anything come
it's
out yet?
no, I am seeing inventory build,
Hmm.
which again, this is all part of extend and pretend, right? It's starting to
Yeah.
build. It's going to be 2025, probably summer 2025 before banks have had enough. Because I think what's going to happen is the owners today that are in trouble, they're going to get a year extension, no problem. But what happens, and again, I've been here before, I bought these before. That owner who's upside down knows they're going to lose the building, even if they got the year extension. So they're going to stop investing. Everything's going to be a band aid. So you're going to see the quality of these buildings just go one direction. And then eventually the bank's going to do an inspection and go, oh my God. And then it'll just flip a script. So it's
Do you
coming.
think they're in a little bit of denial right now?
Absolutely. I mean, it might not be denial. It might be the only way they can stay solvent.
Okay.
Right. Right. I think there's some solvency issues out there in some community banks or regional banks, and they have to extend and pretend.
Okay. So
Um,
then the strategy would be the community banks or the regional banks.
well, I would start with, like, it seems like you have a great relationship. So I have a community bank in Fresno that I work with, and every year I have to go see them.
Hmm.
And so this might have been 15 months ago. So it might have been last year. We went in, we did the song and dance, blah, blah, blah. It was all fine. He goes, hey, do you got 10 minutes? I'm like, dude, you're my banker. Of course I got 10 minutes. And he goes, you see that manila folder over there? I go, yeah. I don't know, it's about that thick. And I go, yeah. He goes, those are all the loans that I can't refi. I can't extend. Right. And I'm like, so the first thing I thought is, are they distressed? He's like, no, we just have too much residential um, property. Our product mix is wrong. So yeah, there's problems brewing
Okay.
out there. Every bank will be different, but you got to have conversations and
So
let
then
them
I should
know.
spend this fall and winter just meeting with these small banks, building
Yeah,
relationships.
if exactly, I would try to meet every banker at a community bank with less than 5 branches. That's what I
Okay.
try to do. Yeah. And I'd be
Okay.
clear. I'd tell them what you're trying to do. I'd show them my track record, show them that you're not like everybody else. You got a lot of equity. You're not over leveraged. You've been here before. And you know that there's pain coming. Yeah. I think I don't know, if you met 15 bankers over the next 6 to 9 months, you probably get 3 or 4 phone calls. I don't know if there'll be any deals, but that's what bankers are going to do. They're going to have a short list of people they call and say, hey, I got a problem. Can you help? Dude, I had a bank president cold call me years ago. He saw what I was doing to the apartment next door and he goes, do you want mine? I'm like, maybe. Let's meet at the property and talk. So yeah, your job is to get known at these community banks. That's what I'd be doing.
Okay. And then you've done 1031 before versus
Oh yeah.
cash out refi. What do you find easier and quicker?
Oh, no question. Cash out refi is quicker. It's
Okay.
simpler. Although a 1031 is that's if you really want to talk about adding wealth, it's the 1031 exchange, right? You take 100K in equity from a house into a 10-unit building that's underpriced, and then you fix that up. It's just crazy wealth generating.
That's the next level I got to get to. That's the
Yeah.
school community.
There you go. There you go. Again, thank you for being a part of school, answering questions, networking. Folks, if you are a part of school, let Craig know how he did in this interview. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Michael.
You have anything that people can follow you or reach out to you?
I've got a small YouTube channel, Craig Kamen, MN. And then I'm on X. You and I do some exchanges on X, so that's always a good time.
There you go. Folks, if you don't know what X is, it's Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter. X. Twitter. Just give me a break. All right, Craig, take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.